Welcome in, everyone, to another edition of the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. I am Jacob Milham, joined by my blue-haired friend, Jeremy Hokius Greco. Jeremy, happy. When did you dye it? I was going to say new hair day, but I mean, it might not be a new hair day.
This morning.
Okay, happy new hair day then, yeah.
I bleached it Monday I bleached it Tuesday and then managed to dye it today.
You mean we all missed out on platinum blonde Jeremy Greco?
You did by a few hours. And I don't really
it.
get to platinum blonde. My hair is so dark that it just mostly turns orange.
It's that Italian heritage that you were talking about this off season, huh?
Yeah.
Bibbidi babbidi. Alrighty, folks, we have a lot to talk about on today's episode, so I don't want to get too lost in the weeds right off the get. We have a lot to talk about on the transaction wire. We got to talk about these brand new City Connect uniforms for the Royals and the 7 other teams. But first and foremost, you would already know a lot of this stuff if you just go check out royalsreview.com. All the news has already been up there since usually this morning, actually. Max is staying on top of things over there, so we greatly appreciate him. Make sure you go bookmark royalsreview.com or just follow and subscribe to us wherever you're listening. We would also greatly appreciate that. All right, Jeremy, let's start off with the transaction wire here, because as Andy Rogers noted, today was the first day that teams could option players like without an injury as the reason, if that makes sense. They could just move folks up and down.
I didn't know there was a limit on that.
Yeah, that there is. I couldn't remember what day it was. I remember like there was a little bit of a buffer there, but we are past that buffer.
That might explain why Luinder Avila wasn't immediately demoted after his start Saturday. I thought it was because they wanted him to pitch out of the bullpen, but maybe that wasn't their favorite idea, and they were just kind of stuck with doing that.
Correct. And he was one of the two.
Also explains why Steven Cruz has stuck on the roster for this long, because I was like, after he pitched the 2 days in Minnesota, I'm like, well, they probably want to go ahead and demote him and get someone else up here. But they couldn't. Cool.
Nope. Sure
I've
couldn't.
been watching baseball for 30 years, Jacob. How did I not know that this was a thing?
You learn something new every inning. Like that's how baseball goes. Yes, Steven Cruz, Luinder Avila are the 2 guys that were sent back to Omaha from the Kansas City Royals bullpen, and we are getting Eli Morgan back in the bullpen, plus Mitch Spence, another one of the offseason acquisitions from the Royals. 2 righties for 2 righties. Cruz he was tipping pitches against the Guardians.
Apparently.
Did you see that?
I saw the video. I don't know how he was tipping the pitches, but apparently he was, because the guy at second base was giving signals like the moment he came set.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he was tipping them, but apparently he was. Hopefully he'll get that figured out in Omaha before we see him again.
Hopefully so. It had something to do with, which arm he had up. If he had the left arm up, it was a fastball. If the right arm up was up,
that was
off
the
speed.
signal.
That was the signal. Yeah, sorry. I meant to phrase it like that. If the Guardians picked up on it, that means 28 other teams can pick up on it, and hopefully the Royals can address that issue before his next major league outing. Dude, do we want to talk about Morgan a little bit? Because he had a really good go the first time we saw him in a Royals uniform, huh?
Yeah,
3-inning save.
He was fantastic. The bullpen really needed him to give us that 3-inning save, and he did it with aplomb. He looked fantastic. I'm happy to have him back in the bullpen. He should be a reliable arm out there. I'll say that I'm curious why Mitch Spence instead of Mason Black, where Mitch Spence has been starting in Omaha and Mason Black, who pitched really well in spring training, has been relieving. So I would have expected it to be him, but yeah, Morgan's the get out of this group, I think, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Spence over Black makes a little bit more sense if you want to look at innings out of the bullpen, right? Because like Falter was kind of that guy, then he's injured. Avila was able to do it. I've made my opinions known on I prefer him as a single inning guy over starter, but
Are
he go ahead.
are we ready to just say that Avila is a reliever? He's not a starter.
I don't think the Royals are ready to say that. Here's the thing, like he got
No.
shellacked in his start. That
Yeah.
there's no other way to put it. I don't
And
think the Royals are ready to say that.
he got good grades on all of his pitches, like velocity, movement was there,
Yeah.
but they weren't in the strike zone. When they were in the strike zone, they got hit. People weren't chasing, they weren't swinging and missing. And that's David Lesky pointed out, I don't remember if it was in his newsletter or on the podcast. He's probably pointed it out multiple times in multiple places because this has stuck with me for a while. That Avila's best pitch is his curveball. It's not his fastball, which is a good fastball, but it's his curveball. And according to Lesky, I'd have to ask him why this is true. You can't lead with your curveball as a starter.
No.
The only thing I could figure is that if a curveball is your best pitch, you're likely to hang it if you throw it too many times, and you hang a curveball, it's going a long way.
Yeah.
So you wanna keep that to 1 or 2 innings and get your and reduce the chances that you're gonna get tired and hang one.
Yeah. And I think that there's a case to be made here for you see most major league pitchers, their pitchability will improve as they age. And I feel like he's still fairly young, I would say. I don't want to call him inexperienced because he's got plenty of innings behind him.
I would like to see, maybe Avila is a frontline starter. You can see it with the stuff. Like the stuff is there,
Yeah.
not just on his fastball and his curveball. His other pitches rate well too, but he's got to figure some stuff out. And for now, I think he needs to take maybe kind of a Seth Lugo path to the rotation where he's out of the bullpen. And
Yeah.
then maybe someday in the future you give him another chance to start if you see him improve that stuff in the bullpen. But he might just be a reliever and he might be a really good reliever and just let him relieve.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, another point on Spence is, the bullpen is just like not fresh. I don't want to call him rotten, but there's not a fresh bunch of arms in that bullpen. And Spence is, he last pitched in Saturday's doubleheader for the Storm Chasers, where he was the starter and only 57 pitches and 50 innings. Like he is very efficient for the Storm Chasers so far this year, as you would expect from a veteran, I would say.
Yeah. And I guess if you're out there wondering, well, if they just want linked, why wouldn't you go get Bergert or Kolek? Kolek still hasn't started a rehab assignment, and Bergert left his last start with an injury.
Yes, that he
So,
did.
and we
So,
still haven't heard anything else about that injury, have we?
well, actually, we have just shortly before we went live here on the podcast, we did get a little bit from Annie Rogers. I want to start on Bergert here because he was the guy that a lot of folks were asking about on RoyalsReview.com. So Ryan Bergert, according to Annie Rogers, exited his last start in AAA Omaha with right elbow discomfort, according to manager Mac
Oh,
Potrero.
and that comes after forearm tightness last year.
Yeah,
That
that's not
sounds
a
like
good
Tommy
combo.
John.
It does. It
Even
does.
more than just the forearm tightness sounded like Tommy John.
And on top of that, when you have a minor leaguer coming down to the major league club getting evaluated by their medical staff, yeah, it's not a good sign from Ryan Bergert there. On the plus side, Rogers did report that it sounds like Stephen Kolek will be heading on a rehab assignment to Omaha this coming Sunday. So he should be back in the fold a little bit. And then Carlos Estevez is scheduled to throw a bullpen on Thursday. So there's a little bit more motion there with the 2025 saves leader. But I
Remember remember when we were gonna trade Bubich and Cameron and we had plenty of starting pitching depth?
yeah.
And I don't wanna toot my own horn too loudly, but I think I said, "Actually, no, you have the correct amount of pitching depth without trading anyone." I believe I said
Right.
that.
Yes, you did. You did. And that depth is very shakily already going to get tested. Cole Reagan's he took that comebacker from
Mhm.
Jose Ramirez, took it on his hand. Thankfully, nothing broken. but he did exit that start, and that put the Royals behind in the series finale in what was ultimately just a drubbing. That's the only way to put it.
First game I turned off before it ended this year.
And I mean, 10-2, that'll do it. When you have Tyler Tolbert pitching out there, it's game
I
over.
I have to admit I didn't get that far. I think I got to the 6th inning, and I was like, "Yeah, they're just not gonna score enough runs today."
Nah,
And then
nah.
I looked at my phone, and I saw the grand slam, and I said, I'm glad I didn't keep watching that."
So before we get to the full blown, Guardians trip recap here, you did bring up a little bit about the bullpen. This is so last time we spoke, I know I wasn't on the last episode. I apologize, folks. But last time we spoke,
Shame.
it was a lot of like, okay, we're uncomfortable with this person, that person, and this other person, but at least we have Lucas Urseg and Matt Strom. Like we can trust them, right? And then I think the very next game, they both gave up multiple runs. Like it,
Yeah.
I, we talk about circles of trust. I think I put everyone in a square of distrust right now. Like that's the best way to describe it, Jeremy. But what say you?
My thing is, and I don't know how many times I'm gonna hit this point, but they don't have HDH, and no one has HDH. I would argue that no one currently in MLB is an H, a D, or an H. They're much less does anyone have 3 of those guys. That was a once in a lifetime bullpen experience.
Yes, it was.
So not having an HDH, what you want is a bunch of guys that give you a chance. And I would argue that there is no Chris Stratton in this bullpen. There is no Will Smith in this bullpen. There is no Bailey Falter in this bullpen. There is no that Rule 5 guy that they added last year. Um, or 2 years ago maybe from the Yankees. I forgot his
Matt
name.
Sauer.
Sauer. There's no Matt Sauer in this bullpen. There's no 2025 Daniel Lynch in this bullpen even.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got 8 to 12 guys when you look at the minor leagues who have, there have been some bad relief appearances certainly, but everyone has had at least one really good relief appearance. And you have to think that as the season wears on, you'll find you'll figure out like John Schreiber doesn't need to be pitching in the 9th inning anymore. I know that Q has gotten used to using him there because he was one of the better relievers in the bullpen, but honestly, he might be the worst now.
Yeah, you
Uh,
might.
I think if anyone's worse than him currently in the bullpen, it's probably Mitch Spence. And that's not a knock on John Schreiber. I don't think John Schreiber's worse now than he was last year. I just think everyone else they have in the bullpen is better. I think Daniel Lynch looks even better than Daniel Lynch of last year. I think Nick Mears has been a revelation. Nick Mears is 100% in my circle of trust. The Royals got him to add a changeup. He'd thrown 3 changeups in his entire career before this year, and he led
Man.
the way with his changeup against the Guardians on Tuesday, and he was killing them with it. It was a
Yeah,
terrific pitch.
that he was.
So you move Nick Mears up. I would move Alex Lang up into the kind of the 6th, 7th inning role that John Schreiber should have occupied last year. John Schreiber now becomes like your 5th or 6th inning guy. And then you've got Matt Strom for the 8th. You've got Daniel Lynch. Daniel Lynch to me is a 6th or 7th inning guy now. More leaning more towards 7th than anything. He looks great. He's not just getting outs. His velocity's up. People look bad when they swing at his pitches.
Yes. Yes,
So
that
it's
that they
this
do.
to me, this is not smoke and mirrors as his really good ERA from last year was, where he would walk guys and then someone else would come and clean it up before the runs could score. This is a guy who's actually pitching well. So I think there's still a lot to like about the bullpen. I think it's going to take some time to kind of shake it all out. I kind of look at him as like it's kind of like flour in a sieve or powdered sugar. You gotta shake it a little bit, get all the clumps out, but eventually
Mhm.
you're gonna have a fine powder that's gonna do exactly what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There is one other go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so you just got to be patient. It's gonna be a little rough early on, but I think by midseason they're really gonna be rounding into form, and we're gonna see some really fun work out of the bullpen.
Okay. Okay. There is one concerning part with the Royals pitching staff. But we will talk about that right after we take our very first break of the show.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Stay tuned. And we're back here on the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. So something that this isn't groundbreaking. A lot of folks have brought this up, but I think that some Royals fans might be discounting it. And that is the Royals allowing so many runs and so many hits all in one scenario with 2 outs. They just can't get out of the inning, and that is crushing them. And it really hurt them against the Brewers and the Guardians. 29 runs across those 2 series, and 19 of them alone came with 2 outs. It is so frustrating. They can cruise to that first and second out so many times, but more than half of their hits in those games came with 2 outs. Think they have they're in the top 5 or top 10 at the very least for runs allowed with 2 outs. Um, Jeremy, I do want to say though, this feels more like a mental thing. I don't know what it is, but just not being able to close out in any situation after you've cruised through most of a similar situation beforehand, I think in life is a mental thing, and that applies to baseball. But what do you think about this split?
My problem is that I feel like this is something that we've seen with this team before. I remember this specifically being a problem. I want to say late in 24 when they were struggling down the stretch. They would get 2 outs and then fall apart. I feel like we saw it some last year when they were struggling in June. I don't know what the answer is. My fingers are crossed, Jacob, that this is a little bit of kind of that shaking out that I was talking about before, where guys are not really 100% in their regular season groove yet. People are still figuring out their roles. They're still figuring out how their pitches are going to act. We know the weather has been really wonky for
Bismal.
the Twins and for the Guardian series. The Brewers series less so, but they also had a doubleheader. You know, things have been unusual to start the year for the Royals, and so I hesitate to take too much away from any of this. It might just be my first thought when you were bringing it up was, what if they're trying too hard to get those first 2 outs and they're tired when they're trying to get that third out,
Yeah,
and then they start getting hit. And I don't have any data to back that up, but that could be like an early season blues kind of thing
it
or a
could.
bad weather kind of thing. Um, I I wouldn't expect it to continue necessarily. I'm not I let me see if this is still going on in the middle of May, and then I will start to worry about it. But it does feel like, one of those, to me, it feels like one of those just situations that pops up in baseball and it looks notable because it's all happening in a row. But if it happened over the course of a few weeks in the middle of the season, you wouldn't necessarily pay any attention to it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right, so I want us to go ahead and close the book on the Guardian series. There's a lot to talk about in each individual game. We're gonna look at this from a 10,000-foot level. If you want the down and dirty on each game, there's a recap and a thread for each and every game on royalsreview.com that I highly suggest you go and check out. So Royals winning 1 out of 3 against the Guardians. Like you said, that weather was just abysmal, felt below freezing for many of the innings. They even had to move a game up just to try and avoid the worst of the weather. The Royals only allowed 14 runs, which is, pretty good in a 3-game stretch, but they only scored 7 themselves. It's, it
Say that allowing 4 over 2 is pretty good. It was the 10 in the last one that was bad, but that was also a really unfortunate circumstance where Cole Reagans looked like he could do a perfect game for 2
yeah,
batters and then got hurt.
yep, exactly.
And that's not what are you gonna do? You gotta go to your long relief man, and if it's not Luinder Avila, it's not someone better, or they wouldn't be the long relief man, they'd be a starter. So, it is what it is, it sucks. We've talked about the bullpen roulette, the bullpen, parlay, it's Q had to go to the bullpen too many times, and he came up with Steven Cruz, and he said, "Steven Cruz, usually you give me 1 inning, give me 2 today," and Steven Cruz didn't have a second inning.
Nope. Sure didn't, unfortunately. The only thing more unfortunate than, the pitching in that last game was just the Royals' performance once again with runners in scoring position going 2 for 20 on
Yeah.
the 3-game series. That is abysmal, and a sub 600 OPS as a team. Like, yikes. That is, they were drawing plenty of walks, I will say. They were almost 1 for 1 on hits and walks, but
Yeah, I
they
was
were
gonna
still
say
striking out at a good clip.
I feel like that series is a really good indicator of, are you an optimist or a pessimist? Is the glass half full or
Yeah,
half empty? Because holy cow, they were walking a lot. That's pretty cool. But also, they got 1 hit on Tuesday and not enough hits on Wednesday. So it's like, is it good that they're walking, or is it bad that they're not hitting? And then I look at Tuesday and I go, Bobby Witt Jr. had 4 batted balls in play over 100 miles an hour, but 2 singles.
yeah,
That's if he does that 10 more times, if he does that 10 times, that might be the worst performance out of the 10,
right.
right?
Yeah.
So I feel like we saw Vinny, maybe started to look like he was coming out of his slump against the Brewers, and Bobby was really hitting the ball hard in Cleveland. I feel like we're right on the verge of the guys starting to hit. But once they start to hit, that doesn't mean they have to stop walking. And if you're walking and hitting, I think you've got an offense. And even with kind of the bad offensive performances, they're still kind of in the middle of their as Meg Rowley put it on the pod her the preview the predictions that effectively Wild did, the fat middle of the league where you're in the 10 to 20 range. They're not 15th, they're 20 or 21st in runs scored to start the year, but they're only a couple runs behind 17th. So they're really like in the middle of the league in runs scored, and that's without Bobby Witt or Vinny or Sal, and Sal's still batting cleanup. When Vinny and Bobby start hitting, and they will, and Sal gets moved down, which could happen, probably not this week, but I think it could start to happen May. He could start to get moved down if Isaac Collins and Jack Caglione keep hitting and Carter Jensen keeps hitting. You could move him to 6th or 7th, and then you got your jackpot bat like I was talking about on Sunday. Get that
Yeah.
jackpot bat down lower in the order and let the other guys cycle you through. And then everything's going to be fine, and everyone's going to forget all about this April couple of weeks swoon in the freezing cold and rain.
Yeah. Some more rankings for you here. Like you said, heading into today's game, Royals tied for 19th out of 30 teams, averaging 3.75 runs per game. One way that they do lead the league right now, though, is in average exit velocity. Yes, folks, I know we've heard a lot about, hard hit balls and things like that. But when you're ahead of the Dodgers by nearly a mile per hour, who rank 3rd in the league right now, that is pretty notable, I would say. Their hard hit rate, it ranks 7th in Major League Baseball. But I got to get back to that runners in scoring position. The walks are to help put you in that position. They are to help get a guy to 2nd or to 3rd and ultimately cross home plate. The Royals 6 through 9 hitters, they're doing their part. They're batting .324 in those scoring situations, the 4th best in Major League Baseball. Meanwhile, the 1 through 5 guys, 164, which is dead
Carried
last
by
in the league.
Michael.
Yeah, exactly. So, this is, I was tweeting about it on the Royals Rundown podcast Twitter account, bringing up some of the things of like, well, Bobby's approach at the plate looks different, X, Y, and Z. And, friend of the podcast, Royals Data Dugout, put out like, well, these are all the expected stats for Bobby. And like, this is the guy that folks are worried about right now in 2026. I think it's valid to be worried about him. I'm not sounding the alarm saying like, oh, he's a bust. oh my goodness, it's a lost season for Bobby. I'm not doing that, but I think it's fair to say, okay, the Royals' bottom of the lineup has been doing their part. Now, Bobby, come on, man. I can't wait for you to break out of that slump.
Everyone talks about Vinny's slow starts, but Bobby does the slow April too. And he's still tied for the league lead in stolen bases. He's
Somehow,
still
yeah.
playing elite defense at shortstop. He's walking more than normal. As I talked about, he hit the ball over 100 miles an hour 5 times in 6 at bats or 6 batted balls over the last 2 days, and the one that wasn't was like 99.5. Uh yeah, I'm not worried about Bobby. You can't make me no matter what stats you give me.
So while we are while we're talking about, Bobby coming home and things like that, Bobby was also the poster child for the City Connect uniform drop today. We had a lot of different opinions on the Royals entry into this, one of the 8 teams who are getting a new City Connect uniform right now. Um, Jeremy, I highly suggest folks go check out royalsreview.com for the full breakdown of the uniform and some of the symbolism behind each part of it. But what do you think about the uniform? I'm a little torn.
I'm also a little torn. I think we talked about this when it was just leaked. These are the uniforms that were leaked.
Yes.
Now we know what the pants and the caps look like, and they look exactly as I expected them to look. Well, not exactly. I think that they're better than the previous City Connects. I know I'm an outlier in this case, but I did not care for the previous set of City Connects because I felt like they were too boring. I felt like they were too safe, and that's honestly how I feel about all 8 new City Connect uniforms, which we're gonna draft here in a minute. But this uniform, the Royals uniform, I think takes more risks than the last one, which is, I think, unique among the 8 because I think they took less risks with all of the rest of them than they did the previous versions. Well, the Pirates I think is genuinely good, but we'll talk about
I
that
think
more.
so as well. Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Listen, there's a lot of rightful royal symbolism in this jersey. Like that's what you would want, right? I think my favorite parts are the parts you're not going to see that often, like the hey 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 hey
Yeah,
along the
that's
back
probably my
again.
favorite part.
I also really like the tag art. I really like that Art Deco style that they have for that, and I've seen it on some of the merch. I think that is great. I'm glad that they, kept the gradient going in the helmets and in the caps. I'm glad that they committed to it. Um, and yeah, like I don't think it's for everyone. It's middle of the pack in this new, very mediocre group of City Connect uniforms. Will I go out and buy one? Probably not. I'm not a super huge fan of
That
all
and
white
that is
wearing them
that is the
myself.
failure. That's the failure, because the whole point of these uniforms is for Nike to sell them. That's the only reason they're making these City Connects is because they want something else to sell. Because, "Oh, you already bought your home alternate, your road, and your road alternate. We need another uniform for you to buy, so we keep making money." Well, I this isn't exciting enough for me to buy. And I'll give this rant, I guess, now, and then we can go to break and then do the draft. But my rant
Sounds
is,
good.
when it comes to art, you have to take risks. You have to. Otherwise, you end up with a bland mess that no one sees the point in spending money on. Um, no one go back to the Netflix movies for just a second, my constant whipping platform of, they make the blandest movies they can, trying not to offend anyone, trying to make it as easy to follow as possible, where they just repeat all the exposition over and over again so that if you're paying attention to another screen, you know what's going on. And so when that by doing that, they make it so that there is 0% chance you would pay to watch that movie in theaters. You might watch it as you will only watch it as a second screen experience because it's boring. And you have the Netflix subscription for whatever reason. I wouldn't pay for Netflix. I have Netflix because someone in my family pays for it, and I'm just like, "Well, if you've got it, I'll check out the occasional movie." But I would not pay for Netflix with the content that they're putting out. I just wouldn't do it. And when you're Nike, when you're so to take this back to the uniforms finally, you gotta make a choice. You gotta make a bold choice. You gotta do something interesting. Will some people hate it? Yes. Newsflash, some people hate these uniforms. And you're not gonna avoid hate. But by making it as bland as possible, you prevent anyone from falling in love with it. And
Yeah.
if you make it so that people hate it, for one example, I think of the previous version of the Boston Red Sox. I think they're changing theirs. I don't remember seeing them in the new set, but I think they're changing theirs soon, or they have changed theirs. But they had those yellow uniforms
But yeah.
that
Yeah.
were very controversial. Some people loved them, some people hated them. I loved them because you made a choice. Yeah, yellow isn't a Boston color, but hey, it pops. It does something different. It makes it worth thinking about when I'm thinking, do I want to buy another jersey? This one is so different that it does feel like, hey, it's worth looking into. But when you make all these bland choices, it's like, well, that looks very similar to the jerseys I've already bought. Why would I buy that one? And to
Yeah.
that end, the new Royals jersey is one of the better 8 because it does at least look very different from anything else they've done. They just didn't commit far enough.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break on that note, and we are going to draft with Jeremy getting the very first pick of 8.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. So what we're going to do right now is we have all 8 uniforms in front of us, all 8 of them on a rack, no jersey number or name on the back. And we are going to pick our favorites, I would say, in just a normal draft situation. So Jeremy, you had the first overall pick here. What would you go with?
Yep, I told Jacob we needed to draft him, but I wanted the first pick because I wanted to talk. I spoiled this a little bit already, I guess. I wanted to talk about those Pirates uniforms.
Yeah.
So, in the sense of, did you make a drastic change? The answer is no. They're black, primary black with yellow accents, which is pretty standard Pirates affair. But what they did do is the Pirates on the chest is in a font that reminds you of daggers and cutlasses like a pirate, and is a little bit less corporate. And then
Yeah.
on the hat, they have the old Buccaneer guy logo, the mascot. And so when you look at that uniform, you go, well, yeah, that's the Pirates for sure. And it's not just because it says Pirates, it feels piratey or piratical or however you want to say it, whichever word you want to make up. And I dig that. Could you have gone bolder with it? Maybe, but it's clean. It's a nice, clean design with some really strong choices, and that can be good too. So I really like those Pirates uniforms. They're much, much better. This is a rare case where the new uniform is much better than the previous version. The previous Pittsburgh City Connects were very blech. I think they
Yeah.
were one of my least favorites in the entire league. So if I was a Pirates fan, I would be very happy right now.
Heck yeah. Second overall, I'm not nearly as passionate about it as Jeremy is about the first overall, but that's fine. These San Diego ones are
It's hard
growing
to be
on me.
passionate after that one.
It is. It really is. But these San Diego ones, I think, are a very good flip from their previous City Connects to these. It's it's not like the brown. It's not that turd brown as I've heard people call it. It's not none of that. It's got the Dia de los Muertos accents to it.
The brown ones weren't their last City Connects. Their last City Connects were the beach.
Yes.
The rainbow colors, whatever that was.
I call them a sherbet sunrise. Like that's what
Yeah.
it looked like.
Those were some of
Um,
my favorites.
No, but I was worried that they were gonna try to incorporate that brown in a little bit
Okay,
more. If it that's why I was bringing it up. They didn't, so I'm glad
gotcha.
about that. They got kind of like the off-white pants, which I enjoy. It's like it's a good looking uniform. I don't know if I was a Padres fan if I would buy this, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
So over to you, Jeremy.
it's a clean uniform, but I go back to this isn't unique enough for me to care.
Yeah,
That's my
yeah.
big problem with it, is not that it's bad, some of these are ugly, but it's just not unique enough to care about. So, this is actually my second favorite uniform. You didn't take my second favorite with the number
Oh
2
yeah.
pick, so my draft board is feeling very nice right now. I'm gonna take those new Atlanta City Connects.
All right.
Mostly on the shoulder patch of the ATL that looks like that old TBS logo. That carries these things a long way. I also like the sky blue in the hat and the jersey and on the socks. It's not a normal Atlanta color, and I'm all about if we're gonna do something different, let's do different colors. I know everyone's like, but it's gotta be the colors that I'm used to with my team. No, we're doing different things because these are different uniforms. Different colors are better. If you want the same colors, then have the same uniform. That's boring. Don't be boring. So yeah, I dig the blue. I think the darker blue that they've got for the numbering and alternating on the socks, I think that actually matches with that sky blue in a way that the royal blue does not match with the powder blue in those Royals alternates. I think these are nice. I like that lowercase a. That's very Atlanta. Speaking as
Yeah.
someone who's lived in Atlanta, that lowercase a is very Atlanta. There's nothing more Atlanta than a lowercase a like that.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I like the V, like it's like the pullover style
Yeah.
jersey that they used to have and just V's out instead of the buttons. Yeah, my second favorite one is still up on the board here, so I'll go with the Milwaukee Brewers,
What is wrong
Wisconsin.
with you?
Like
I
like the
was thinking my
Wisconsin fit.
bottom 2. I was like, I
Really?
can't wait for if I when I get to the bottom, I'm gonna have to pick one of these 2, and I don't wanna.
Well, there you go. I just solved that for you.
Well, hopefully.
I love the W on the caps. Like that is it's a very like you can't miss it. The script Wisco across the chest is great. I love the color of
The
blue that they
famous city
have.
that they
What'd you
play
say?
in, Wisco.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like known
Wait,
as
I feel
Be
so
More.
connected to Milwaukee when I see Wisco.
All right,
Also,
you got
Wisco
me
is
there.
100% what a dumbass New Yorker calls Wisconsin. He's like, "Yeah, I went to Wisco last week. It sucked. They didn't have bodegas."
Hey, listen, I like him. Probably not for everyone. Obviously not for Jeremy, but that is I like him. I like these Brewers City Connects. What you got at number 4 there, Jeremy?
All right, so my third favorite is still on the board. This is number 5,
Oh yeah,
Jacob,
number
if you're
5.
counting at
Jeez
home.
Louise.
So this is my number 3. This is a Royals one. I like the gradient. I dig some different colors. Purple, as some people pointed out, is also a royal color. Royal purple is a thing. And I dig just some color change, some difference. I think they're too white. I think I think when you're dealing with City Connects, I think what you need is a lot of different color. That's a key to me. Um, the hats, as I mentioned earlier, and I'll expand on that a little bit now, I guess, are a disappointment to me. I wanted a gradient hat, and we got a gradient hat, but the gradient looks sloppy to me, at least in the images we've gotten. Maybe at some point I'll get my hands on a physical hat, or I'll see it on the broadcast, and I'll change my opinion. They should be wearing them tonight as you're listening to this. Tomorrow night as we're recording it. They're Friday nights. And I'm hoping to change my mind. I've certainly changed my mind based on promo photos and then seeing uniforms in action before with the City Connects. Because I was excited about a gradient cap for these uniforms. I was like, I'm gonna buy it if they have that, and it looks ugly. So I want to see that
Yeah.
it looks good so that I have a reason to buy one. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Is the Royals? The Royals are the 5th pick here.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go down to number 6 as apparently my uniform taste is not the best in this episode. That's okay. But I did get a lot of crap as a child because I actually liked they were called the ketchup bottle Chiefs uniforms, where it was the
Red on
red
red.
on red on red on red. That's
I like the
why
red on red for the
well,
Chiefs.
that's why I'm going with the Cincinnati Reds, which
Yeah.
it is very much.
That
There is no doubt
finally you
about
make
it.
the correct pick, Jacob. Good
Okay,
job.
there we go. There we go. Listen, I don't know all the symbolism behind it, but these are bold. Just the red on black accents are awesome. Yes, even little Elias here really likes the fit, and it's hard to miss. I wouldn't go out. I would probably go out and buy this one as a Reds fan. I would say it's just different enough, and it sticks with something and does not give up on it, Jeremy, like you were talking
Yeah.
about. What's your
I
next pick?
I liked the previous Cincinnati ones, which were black with red accents. These are red with black accents. So it does in that sense feel a little lazy, but it's fine. They're very clean, nice looking uniforms. Which I can't really say about the next two, unfortunately. So I'm gonna leave you the uniform I hate the most, and I'm gonna take these Baltimore unis. They're too white, but one of my favorite design patterns in a jersey is when the vest part. We talked about this when I was talking about my love of the Royals black alternates. It's when the vest is a color and then the sleeves are a different color. And Baltimore's got that going on. They've got some nice black and orange. They've got the Oriole is represented on top of the B more on the chest. You got the Oriole on top, perched on top of that. I think that's kind of cute. And it's fine if the uniform's a little cute. There's nothing wrong with that. Chill out, everybody. I'm sure some of you are screaming at your radios or your computers or whatever right now. No, it's fine.
Yeah.
I hate the B more. I hate that they're so white. I despise the font that they're using. That
Yeah.
5 on there looks like an upside down 2. I'm kind of crossing my fingers that they screwed up and put 32 on there, and we're like, "Crap, we don't have time to fix it. Flip the 2, it's a 5." Because that's awful. But
Yeah.
yeah, there are some things to like on there. I like the leg stripe too. I just wish I don't like all the white. You can
How do
have
you
white pants. You should have a white shirt.
how do you have like this eggshell white and they're still see-through? Explain that to me. Explain it to me. They're still like they still look
Manufacturing
see-through.
flaws.
Oh my gosh,
And
I
this was
can't
supposed
stand
to be
it.
fixed last year.
It was supposed to. I think we just stopped talking about it and they're like, "Oh, well, we'll just keep it moving." Yeah, I don't think like there's like last place A and last place B here. I don't like the Rangers one.
They're bad.
Cool. The Tejas touch, awesome, great.
That's the
But
only part that's good about it.
yeah, and like the T, it's a throwback to one of the older T from the Rangers. But these are just so nondescript. Like there is
Mhm.
out just I could probably have picked this up from a uniform scalper like 4 years ago. Like
Yeah.
that's what this looks like.
These look
It's
like
just not
these
for
look
me.
like the uniforms that a ranger would wear in a commercial when you're like, I want you to think of this person as a Texas Ranger, but I don't have the rights to a Texas Ranger uniform."
Exactly. I
Like
think
sometimes when you see Patrick Mahomes and he's wearing a red jersey and it's not a Chiefs jersey, it's just legally distinct.
yep, that it is. I that's a really good way to put it, Jeremy. What are
And
y'all's
it's
thoughts?
the
Please let us know on social media. Go ahead.
it's got that piping on it that I talked about with the
Yeah.
WBC that I hate. I the Tejas reminds me that I recently learned, and I should have known this before. I didn't follow up. That's my bad. That a lot of minor league teams have specifically Latino or Latinx or
Mhm.
whatever we're saying alternates
Yeah.
for a lot of their teams. The MLB should have Latine alternates for all of their teams outside of the City Connects.
I think that would
Because
be fun.
if you look at the build of baseball, I mean, this is why the World Baseball Classic was the way it was. There's so much major league talent coming from Central and South America that you're left with only the white guys to play for Team USA.
Yeah.
And you should recognize that player base and that fan base because you're getting a lot of fans that way too.
Yep.
and shout out that heritage. And we saw, I mean, we've seen it intermittently with some of the city connects. We saw it with the Arizona Diamondbacks Serpientes. We saw it
Mm-hmm.
with the Dodgers had one that they then replaced, and we're seeing it with the Rangers here. But like, all the teams should do it, first of all, and second of all, it shouldn't be a uniform that gets replaced by a non Latin variant like we saw with the Dodgers. And I
Yeah.
think I don't think we've seen it with the Diamondbacks yet, but we will. And like, you should continue celebrating that, not stop because it's time for the new uniform.
Well, so here's the thing. I think it would be cool if they did that, just like with okay, look at your fan base, look at your area. What's a cultural thing that you could honor? And that then we would just pull the Runza jerseys from the Omaha Storm Chasers and have the Kansas City Runzas for a handful of games each year. Have you seen those uniforms, Jeremy?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. I jest about that. I would hope that the Royals would come up with something better. Hey, Jeremy, we are getting a little low on time here. I do want to talk about this Chicago White Sox series coming up. We got 4 games
Sure.
against the White Sox. Our probables, we got Seth Lugo going tonight, and then we have Chris Bubich taking the ball on Friday, Michael Walk on Saturday, and then Noah Cameron closing things out on Sunday afternoon. The Royals have been really, 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 really good against the White Sox lately, 22-4 since the start of the 2024 season, and they've lapped them on run scoring. It's like I think it's a 67 run differential between the two teams. And
It's
the
even worse when they play in Kansas City.
yes, that it is. The Royals have won 8 consecutive series in Kauffman Stadium versus the White Sox, including 4 consecutive sweeps. But I say all that to say this, Jeremy. I'm hoping that this is a get right series for the Royals. I really hope it is. I hope this is, like we saw Seth Lugo go 9 innings against the White Sox years ago. I would love to, get some deep starting performances, keep the bullpen a little bit rested as they close out this stretch of games. But let's get the bats hot. Let's get some runs up on the board and give the Kauffman faithful something to be excited about.
I just have to point out, Jacob, that let me double check that this is still true. But the Royals, for all the talk of, oh hey, the Royals have an easy schedule to begin the year, they have played one team that's not currently leading their division.
Wow. Wow.
The Guardians are leading the division. The Atlanta Braves are leading their division, tied for the lead with the Miami Marlins. The Milwaukee Brewers have the second best record in baseball, tied with the Yankees, second only to the Dodgers, and they were best in baseball when the Royals faced them. The Twins are currently ahead of the Royals 7-6 because they just swept the White Sox, or not the White Sox, the Tigers in a 4-game series, I
Yep.
think it
Yep.
was.
Or
So the
Tigers.
Tigers are now at the bottom of the division. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeesh.
also the Tigers have a -3 run differential, and the Royals have a -12 run differential in third place. So the Tigers have been a little unlucky.
Yeah.
The Royals have not been unlucky. They might have been a little bit lucky based on the run differential. But also, like, they've played only good teams so far, other than the Twins, and they took 2 out of 3 from Minnesota. So they're going to play the Tigers. The Twins are not good, but they might be better than the White Sox. I think I said Tigers in there somewhere. I don't know which team I meant. I didn't mean the Tigers. They beat the Twins. They're going to play the White Sox. The White Sox are, I think a lot of us thought they'd be better than last year. They don't look it right now. So we'll see how that ends up. Their starting pitching is a mess.
Yeah.
And that was kind of their strength last year. I believe in the Royals' ability to their guys that got their offense. We talked about this in the preseason, is led by Colson Montgomery and not Okamoto. Is it Okamoto that's the White Sox?
It's Murakami.
Murakami. Okamoto is the Blue Jay. Third baseman that strike out a lot, hit home runs, both from Japan, both signed this year. I'm sorry, I got confused. So they're led by Colson Montgomery and Murakami, And those guys hit a lot of home runs, but they also strike out a lot. So they can be beaten. And I think the Royals are gonna. I think the Royals are gonna beat them. I don't know if it'll get them right, but it'll be an opportunity to rack up some wins against a team that is clearly worse than Kansas City.
Yeah. Yeah, fully agree. So if you want to react to these games, you could watch us react on social media. Our links are down in the podcast description below, or you could just go check out the game thread for each one of these games. I think that's a good place to get through each game together with other Royals fans and have some good discourse, I would say. Jeremy, anything else to add on the White Sox series? I got nothing else. I'm excited for the Royals to be back home.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Royals to be home. I'm hoping this is a normal weather weekend. We could
Yeah,
just watch the baseball without worrying about how cold it is or how much rain there is. And I'm looking forward to watching my team beat up on I mean, a not good team.
there you go.
And if that doesn't happen, I am going to cry.
Then we might have some folks saying the sky is falling for the Royals in
I mean,
2026.
the Tigers fans and Blue Jays fans are probably at home thinking the sky is falling. But do we think the sky is falling for the Tigers and Blue Jays?
No.
No, we don't. We think that they're probably going to be fine. So let's give the Royals more than a week and a half, shall we?
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. All right, let's go ahead and get on to reviews here real quick. As Elias is, if y'all haven't heard him in the background, he's a talker. All right, he likes to have his opinion known.
He's aiming for your job, Jacob.
He is. He really is. I would call him a yapper in training. Um, So my review real quick is something I probably shouldn't be drinking, but I need to get through, just having a job and kids and just the spring in general. These little canned C4 drinks have been awesome for me. I used to get the jitters off of them but now I'm just desensitized to caffeine.
Doesn't
Eh,
seem like it's probably good.
no, probably not. I should probably talk to someone about that. But I like them. They taste good. They get the job done. And yeah, I highly suggest them. I got them at BJ's for like I think $1.80 a can. So that's a pretty good price nowadays. Jeremy, over to you for a review, man.
I'm gonna have to call an audible here this week. I've not had a chance to play any new games, or at least not complete any new games or watch any new shows or movies. I'm still watching Psych. I'm in season 5 now. I'm having a great time. They've started to have some recurring characters now that they're getting into the later seasons. Carrie Elwes has Despero, the art thief, which is a lot of fun. But my review this week, I'm going to shout out Blue Apron and their cheesy pesto chicken. What a fantastic piece of chicken that was. My mom likes to order
Man,
Blue Apron meals when I'm in town and cook them up. And she's like, she knows I'm a picky eater, and I picked that one and then forgot about it. And then she showed me the items, and I looked at it, and I'm like, why did I pick that? Cheese and pesto, that can't be good, right? Like, I like both of those things individually, but can they be good together? And yes, they can. Oh my goodness. And it came with garlic bread and some spicy broccoli. Oh, it was delicious, Jacob.
hell yeah.
Delicious.
Blue Apron, our DMs are open. Come on. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm
Uh,
like, maybe I should figure out like how to make this for myself since I'm too cheap to pay for Blue Apron meals on my own time.
Hey man, listen, Katie and our recipe book still has a few when I forget what service it was, but like right when we got married, we were doing one of those food delivery services. And we saved a few of those recipes. Like they were bangers enough that we had to hold on to them.
And then you just buy your own ingredients.
Exactly.
There you
Exactly.
go.
So, alrighty, folks. Well, little Elias here is giving us the signal for the time to get on out of here. We greatly appreciate you joining us today. It's just an awesome time to sit here and talk Royals baseball with Jeremy, and I hope y'all feel that energy and feel that love. Make sure you follow or subscribe wherever you're listening at so you don't miss another episode from us. But most importantly, go check out Jeremy's work. Go check out the rest of the team's work up at royalsreview.com. A lot of great stuff coming out there. each and every day. And we missed some key updates on today's episode that you can only find at royalsreview.com. I am Jacob Milham. They're Jeremy Greco. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, go Royals.
You know who I would not pick a fight with on a baseball field? Jorge Soler. I would not square up against Jorge Soler. God rest your soul, Ronaldo Lopez.
What a ballsy man.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.